Well, thanks everybody for joining this webinar. Larry Logue is hosting, and this is projects that are projects requesting partners. I'm Kirk Laughlin. I'm the treasurer of the University District Club, and I'm the behind the scenes tech support, such that I am. And eventually I will be behind the scenes. But I just first want to thank everyone that's made these online trainings happen under a very compressed time schedule. So I want to thank District Trainer Jean Withers and her team, DG Bill McElroy, DGE Kathy Gibson, and DGN Howard Cohen, who put this together very quickly, and it's going great, as you can see. So, except for the panelists, everyone who is signed in is in listen-only mode. If you have a question that you want to raise, we will have a question and answer period. Put those in the Q&A section, and the Q&A button should appear at the bottom of your screen. If you're using a mobile device like an iPad or an Android phone, you may have to touch the Zoom window to get those icons at the bottom to appear. And what else? Oh, if you accidentally get kicked off because your internet is bad or something like that, just sign back in, and you'll be put back in automatically. If you're having some kind of tech trouble or need to get a message to me, you can put that in the chat function, and I can take a look at it there and try to respond. The presentation is being recorded, and I'll just reassure for Bill that yes, I have turned the recording on, and within a day or two, these will be posted to the Festival of Training YouTube channel, and that link will be sent out in a follow-up email. So if you missed something important, don't worry, you'll get a chance to watch it again. And I think that's it. Larry, anything I forgot to cover? Oh, right.
No, here's some. Got most of the points.
Yes. Yeah, there we go. There's some things.
Okay.
Mute if the panelists will mute ourselves when we're not talking. So thank you.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is going to be an interesting session because we've basically got 9 different projects with about 11 different presenters. And so we're trying to coordinate all this thing in order to minimize the going back and forth. I'm going to try to do all of the presentations of the slides. And so if you hear us talking back and forth between us, it's really because we're just trying to coordinate. Sorry it's being done this way, but we didn't quite know how to do it any other way. So let me just start off by pointing out that from July 2017 through September 2019, our clubs in District 5030 invested about $560,000 worth of our own club money. We provided, using that core money, $3,618,000 worth of projects, 36 projects in 24 countries. So in 2 years, that's the type of work we do in our district. The 9 projects that you're going to hear from today will provide, as a point of comparison, over $2 million worth of services in 9 countries. So in one period of time, we're doing a very large amount of work. So you can help them achieve their goals by identifying one or the other of these projects that you'd like to help. So here is our agenda. We've got a fairly strict timeline on it. So without going any more time on it, I will just turn it over then to Judy Ginn and Jeanette Bonobi. Now I'm going to have to get out of this screen, and I'm going to go to another screen. Is that correct for you there?
Not seen anything yet. There we go.
Yeah, just needs to be on slideshow mode. But...
Okay. So why don't you unmute yourself, Jeanette, and...
Okay.
We're ready. Okay. Here we go. I'm Judy with Seattle International District Rotary, and with me is my partner in this grant, Jeanette Benobi with Core Tanzania, a nonprofit based here in Seattle. This grant is for water, power, furnishings, and equipment for Twagashi Primary School in the village of Bushasha in northwest Tanzania. The village school is severely overcrowded with up to 100 students in a room with one teacher. The village asked for a school that would not be so crowded and would teach English so the children would have a chance to succeed in high school, which is taught 100% in English. In addition, instead of the usual lecture and copy method of teaching used in Tanzania, Twagashi will be taught with student-centered methods which teach children to think and problem solve.
The village donated land, and our organization here, Core Tanzania, provided the funding, and the local Tanzanian NGO is carrying out the construction and operation of the school. It's being built in 2 phases, kindergarten through 3rd grade and then 4th through 7th grade. Construction is almost finished on the K through 3 phase, and this grant is for some additional items to complete the K through 3 program. Twagashi translates as "Let's make our lives meaningful," which sums up the educational objectives of the school. Class sizes are limited to allow teachers to use a more student-centered approach and to focus more on critical thinking. Classes are taught in English instead of Swahili beginning in kindergarten, so students will struggle less when they get to secondary school where all instruction is in English. The school includes teacher housing because housing is necessary to attract well-qualified teachers with good English schools to such a rural area.
This is a fully thought out project with water well, water will be shared with the nearby villagers, solar power, composting toilets, a kitchen to provide meals for students, and a cafeteria room that can double as a place to hold community meetings. Phase 2 also has a library.
Construction of the K through 3 phase of the Twagashi school is nearly complete. These are recent photos of the classroom building with 4 classrooms and teacher offices. It's shown from the front and then also from the back. Actually, the top photo is the back and then the front. The part without a roof is the cafeteria and kitchen. They're working right now on that roof. The teacher duplex is also waiting for a roof, so the teachers are renting a house in the village. And the last pictures of our very first kindergarten class, which opened in February of this year. There are 30 students and 2 teachers. Since the new classroom wasn't quite ready, they opened in a temporary space in the village church. The class is being taught with Montessori materials and methods, and the kids are very engaged. This slide shows the objectives and budget for the proposed Rotary project. The largest component is solar power for water pumping, electricity for the classroom building, and electricity for the teachers' houses. The next item is furniture.
Kirk. I'm sorry to interrupt. This is the 2-minute warning.
The next item is furniture for the cafeteria and for grades 2 and 3 classrooms, as the kindergarten and 1st grade classrooms are already furnished. Next is curriculum materials and technology, also for grades 2 and 3. The project also includes a few other items, the largest of which is screening the cafeteria so it can be used at night. Malaria is a serious problem in this part of the country, so holding functions at night without screening puts people's health at risk. The final objective is some additional items for the school water system, including water storage tanks, a village water faucet station, and a student hand washing station. The total budget for the grant project comes to almost $114,000.
We are looking for support and would be delighted to make a fuller presentation to your club or to your International Service Committee. You can contact either of us. Thank you very much, and we're happy to answer any questions if there's time available.
There's still 1 minute left.
That's the way it goes.
Okay, well, I'm
Anybody
bringing
got a
the next set of slides. If we have any questions, can you read off any of the questions to them, Kirk?
There's just one so far from Maggie that she just wanted to clarify that the bridge to success is in the Gambia, not Nigeria.
Yeah, that doesn't relate to this project.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Second one is Rwanda.
Yes, the
But
question.
that's the only question we've had.
Yeah,
Only comment.
no, Jim. Yes, we have been to the site and we have met with the Rotary Club of Bukoba, and they are qualified as well. Everything is all set to go there. They have been fully involved. They've done community assessment and all those kinds of things as well.
Okay, let me go ahead and bring up the next screen then, which is George Kaichkov. Is that pronouncing it correctly? George, why don't you unmute yourself?
Yeah, that was pretty close, Larry. I'm George Kitchikoff from the Maple Valley Rotary Club.
Okay, and we'll be here in a minute.
Yeah, so Maple Valley is seeking to start up a new project which is aimed at vocational training in Rwanda. And I think most of us know that in 1994 there were very unfortunate events there. And as a result, the society continues to be somewhat disordered. Many young people have no vocational skills. And a remarkable fact is the median age of the population there is 18 years old. So there's a lot of people who are going into the workforce or trying to enter the workforce without the appropriate education. And this is a major focus of the Rwanda government. Next slide, please. So what we're aiming to do is establish a relationship to support the Hope Vocational Training Center. And there's a training center which is focused exactly on this need to train the new generation with basic skills, basic work skills. And they have an operation which raises money in the United States. Most of the students there who are being trained cannot afford the costs of the tuition. Next. This is a picture of the school. Most of the students either live in the student housing because of the transportation costs are prohibitive for them to be off campus. Next. So in 2019 and 2020, there were 244 graduate students. Students graduated in 2019. We're building new housing for the new year, and we're currently building a structure to house 80 girls. Expect to have a 2020 class of more than 300. Almost certainly plans have been disrupted by COVID-19, but we don't know what the disruption looks like right now. Next, please. So the current training programs are aimed at really well-known vocational skills, very basic ones like sewing, hairdressing, masonry, welding, carpentry, culinary arts. And the plan is to add a mechanics program by next year. Next. So at the moment, there is the problem that we seek to address is the electrical power problem. While the government there is stable, the electrical system is not. It's inadequate in terms of supply and reliability. The school is often without power, and quite a few of those classes that they are working on require power, for example, using automatic sewing machines. And so what we aim to do is something about that particular problem. Next, please. Next, please. So what our aim to do is to provide them with a generator, a reliable generator. I guess it should be noted, previous slide, please. I guess it should be noted this is a starting project. The intention of this project is to form a relationship with the local Rotary Club, which we've already contacted, with the school, with the nonprofit that supports the school. Next slide, please.
And sorry, this is Kirk. This is a 2-minute warning.
Thank you. Okay, so our starter project is provide the school with a reliable generator. And there's also going to be a training tool in the sense that the students are going to both install under supervision, of course, and support the system. So it's really going to be the beginning of a class on electrical work, electricians type work, installing and making these things run. Our club is committed to a minimum of $8,000 towards this first project. The total cost of the project estimated to be about $20,000, a little over $20,000, including transportation and 12-month warranty. And we're expecting to have multiple project phases. So right now we're looking for partners to cover the balance, going from our base $8,000 contribution to cover the $20,570. That's our ask. I think that's it pretty much.
Okay, 1 minute approximately left.
Okay, why don't we see if there's any questions on this as while I load the next.
No questions in the Q&A. Remember, if you have a question, oh wait, sorry, there is just one right now. Does the generator come with a fuel tank?
Yes, it does. I mean, we've looked at alternative ways of meeting these energy costs, and this seems to be by far the most cost-effective and reliable way of doing it.
And here's one more. Is there a local supplier of fuel?
Yes, there is. We do have a logistic chain there that will support this reliably.
Hey, we're hearing some TV or radio in the background. If you're not speaking, could you mute yourself, please?
Okay,
so
our
very
next
part, so please get in touch with us if you're interested. Be a first.
We'll be sending out all the copies of all these slides, and they all do have their email addresses and phone numbers on them, or if they don't, we'll get them to you. So if you want to reach out to them, you'll have access to all of this information.
Thanks, guys.
Our next project is Washington, Nairobi, and I believe Bella Chafee is going to be talking about that. So let me see if I can do a screen share for you. Oops, the wrong one. I've got to bring it up yet.
This is not ours.
No, I'm still working at trying to find it here.
Don't worry, Bella. This is not
right here?
going into your presentation time.
Is this what you need, Bella?
No, on my screen, no, it says Young Professional Exchange, which is not
Oh,
ours.
really? I'm showing Gloryland Missions. Am I doing something wrong here? Oh, hold it. My screen share is paused. I don't quite know how to change that. Kirk, it shows this thing here saying, let me stop my share. Let me start it back up again.
I still have on the option that all panelists can share.
Okay. Is it showing up now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Pauline, do you have anything you want to say before I get started? Any introduction?
Yes, I would just say my name is Pauline Kamanja from Renton Rotary Club, and I'm working with the Global Admissions International. That I thank you for this presentation, and Bera will be presenting. She is good at this one. So welcome, Bera.
Thank you, Pauline, and thank you all for letting us present today. So if you could go to the next slide. Okay, perfect. So just a little background on GMI. So we work for transforming, giving hope, and rehabilitating needy and vulnerable communities by initiating social economic activities, life skills through education, training, counseling, and creating social issues awareness. If you go to the next slide. So the two projects we're going to cover today are our water project and basic economic empowerment. Next slide, please. So the water project's goals and objectives is to provide clean drinking water, toilets, community showers, along with a hand washing bay and a soup kitchen to the community and also a school that GMI has within the community. And this goal will be met once sustainable clean drinking has been provided. Next slide. So currently, the community gets their water from the city, but if they cannot afford to buy water, they use river water, which is roughly a 20-minute walk from town and is not safe to drink without boiling. So that's one of the main reasons why it is so important to drill a borehole in this community and to just remove the barrier to access clean, affordable water for use. The borehole will provide clean drinking water for them for the long term, and then we'll also be providing community toilets and a hand washing bay for sanitation. Next slide, please. So the timetable of this is we're hoping to have it all completed in 2021. The borehole itself will take 4 months to drill once funding is secured, and we're hoping to get the feasibility study done in the 4th quarter of 2020. Next slide. And then we also have future plans for this project. And it is a sustainability plan to bottle water and distribute that water. This plan would provide basic economic empowerment through provisions of jobs to members of the community. Next slide. And then this is just a quick overview of the budget. I'm not going to go in depth, but something that could be reviewed later on. Next slide.
And this is your 2-minute warning.
Okay, thank you. So this is the next project we're going to go over, the basic economic empowerment, which is within our New Mama program. And the main goal of this program is to seek women's social, cultural, and economic empowerment, seeking through the protection of women's rights and to also integrate women as agents of change into their communities. And this will mainly be done by training them in entrepreneurship and microfinancing of small to medium enterprises, allowing these women to become self-sustainable. Next slide. And so this project will benefit the women living within the community, as well as their families and their children. Next slide. We're hoping to begin this project in September of 2020, and then each group of women within the program will be in the program for a year, and then the project would be ongoing from there. Next slide. And so then again, we just wanted to throw up a budget that could be reviewed at a later time. Then next slide.
This is 1-minute warning.
Great. This is just our contact information that we wanted available for everybody. And that is the end of our presentation. So if anybody has any questions, now would be a great time.
Okay, if no questions then, our next speaker
Actually,
is
sorry,
Dan Miner, and he's going to be
sorry,
talking about a wash and solar project for Tara Wood Hospital in Uganda. Let's see if I can bring up that chart.
And Larry, while you're doing that, a couple questions did come in about the previous presentation. How much does your club contribute? I think that's directed to Bella.
Paulina talked to, yeah, I think that's for Pauline.
Yeah, that one, I'm still talking to my club. They haven't committed to how much they're going to contribute. So we are on the talking mode.
And then one more came in, if we have time. Mike asked why 25 trainers for so few women. I think that's the question.
Yes, the 25 trainers is the women that who will be trained, and then they can be the trainers to the larger community. Like they are going to have every trainer is going to be able to train a group of 10 or 25 women. So these are just the trainers to train.
Okay, I'm trying to find this the screen, and it seems to have disappeared on me.
Yeah, I'll just say while you're doing that, if you came in before my
down, isn't it? Yeah.
This is Kirk. I'll just say that if you came in after the preamble, if you have a question about any of the proposals, put that in the Q&A chat function at the bottom, and we will try to answer them as we go along.
Okay, are you showing now?
Yes, we can see these slides.
Okay, Stan?
Stan, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to say before I begin, Mary Starkerbaum sent in a message that she was on, but she wasn't showing up in the group. So maybe Kirk, you need to admit her. She's, I think, a
All right.
late comer. But
Yes, I see that now.
She's also
Mary,
one
I
of
will
the
promote
presenters.
you.
okay, anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that. Okay. Okay, so I'm Stan Miner with Seattle International District Rotary Club. And I am the lead person working on a global grant for Terawodi Women's Community Hospital in a town in eastern Uganda called Soroti. Soroti is a regional center in eastern Uganda, city of about 50,000 people. And Terawodi Women's Fund is the NGO that we are working with, the cooperating organization. And they have 6 board members in the Seattle area, 3 down in Eugene, Oregon, and 2 in Austin, Texas. They've been working for a number of years in Uganda on the problem of fistula. So Larry, go to the next slide, please. So for anyone who's not knowledgeable about fistula is a problem that occurs in complicated birth situations, and it's in this country and other developed countries, it's usually resolved by cesarean section. Oftentimes, throughout much of Africa, especially sub-Saharan, that is not an option, and it can cause tears in the bladder and the rectum that can cause serious problems for women, and they have constant leaking afterwards if they don't get surgery. This, go to the next slide there, Larry. So this Terawodi Women's Fund has been working in Uganda for a good number of years on this problem. And there's a woman there named Alice Imasu who has been particularly involved in this, working on this problem for 20 years or more. There is a picture of Alice Imasu with the woman who died recently, is from Australia originally, but had a fistula hospital and very well known in Addis Ababa. Go ahead, Larry. So Terawodi Women's Hospital has been built and has been operating since last August in outside of Soroti, Uganda. Here you see a picture of, on the left, Alice Imasu and Dr. Josephine, the medical director. They do surgeries. They've done already 300 surgeries prior to coronavirus at the hospital. They've had to shut down. Uganda is pretty much all on lockdown right now. But the hospital is up and running. This project is to secure them a stable source of electrical power with a solar panel system, and also a good, reliable, and clean source of water. They currently...
Sorry, I'm just jumping in to say this is your 2-minute warning.
Okay. They're currently on the grid, and it causes a problem. Here you see the typical kind of structures they live in, that shot. Keep going, Larry. We just have photos here of the area. There you see the typical, these women you see carrying, okay, that causes them problems. They are stunted in growth oftentimes because they're carrying things like that on their head, and they suffer from malnutrition. These factors, along with the fact that they're often having birth at very young ages, lend to a higher level of fistula problems. Go ahead, Larry. Now we're going to have some shots of the hospital. There's an architect's rendering. Go ahead, Larry.
You've got about 1 minute left now.
There's a shot of the actual constructed hospital. Go ahead, Larry. Another shot. There you go. There's a waiting area outside. This is near the surgery center. This is an outside kitchen that they use. This is where women who are waiting to have their surgeries are located. And then, Larry, go ahead. There's a shot of a surgery taking place at the hospital. Go ahead, Larry. Here are some women who have had surgery already and are recovering at the hospital. Larry, go ahead. We can go all the way to the end and I'll just show the financing situation, the sources and uses.
And we are just about at the end of the 5 minutes.
Okay, I've got an unstable internet connection here. Are we still doing screen sharing?
Well, yeah, just the spreadsheet. I just wanted to show how much has been raised and what we're looking for.
No, there's no screen, Larry. No slides.
Okay.
Larry, am I able to share from this side?
If you can, please do. Yes.
Yeah, well, I have it pulled up in the
You
background.
got that loaded. Go ahead and do it then, and I'll be ready for
Okay.
the next one.
All right. Here we go.
And Stan, while you're pulling that up, we do have one question for you. That is, are you working with a Ugandan Rotary Club?
The short answer is we will be. Alice Imasu is well known in the area and knows members of the Rotary Club of Soroti. Also, the Seattle 4 has worked on another project, or is working on another project involving malaria there with the Soroti Rotary Club. Look quickly at the, you can see the budget here, $92,750. Our club is in the process of putting together $10,500. West Seattle, Lake Forest Park, University Sunrise, Ballard are all involved. A member from Ballard is matching some of these funds, and we're looking for $5,000 more to complete the project. So anyway, thank you all for the time. Thank you, Larry, for the opportunity.
And I do have one more question here that came in. Does the project support the hospital or work to eliminate the cause of fistula?
Well, it supports the hospital, which the hospital does several things concerning fistula. It performs surgeries on women who have suffered from it already, repairs their problem, and makes them reintegrates them back into society, and also does some training to give them work skills, job skills when they return to society. In addition, it does counseling with women who are still pregnant and to help them if they are going to have a complicated birth. But the solar power system and the water sources will help just allow them to operate much better and not have interruptions in power and not the best water supply, which obviously are both essential to conduct their work.
Okay,
All
I
right,
finally
Mike says
found
good.
one. Let's go on to the next presenter, which is Jim Moore talking about malaria elimination in Zambia. So let's see if I can get a better screen.
Do you want me to do it?
Let me see if I've got it here. Are you okay there?
Yes, it's
Yeah. All right, are we ready to go?
We are.
All right, thanks, everybody. Seattle 4 is the sponsor of this global grant project, Copper Belt Malaria Elimination. Next slide. And you're all pretty familiar with malaria because we talk about it every year. Mosquitoes get malaria. Anopheles, female Anopheles mosquitoes get malaria by biting a person who already is carrying the parasite, is already infected with malaria, and then transmits that by biting the next person that she needs to feed on, and maybe more persons after that. Next slide. Projects in Zambia, where we've been working on malaria for about 10 years. Next slide. And the goal of this project is one of several parts of a program that Rotarians in Zambia have undertaken to eliminate malaria from the Copper Belt province, benefiting its population of 2.5 million people. Next slide. And the role that Rotarians are playing is being led by the Rotarian Malaria Partners Zambia member clubs. There are 10 of those. And they're supporting the recruiting, training, and equipping of community health workers to work in their home villages. This is a proven cost-effective model for a malaria elimination that was demonstrated in the southern province of Zambia, where over a period of 5 years, malaria has been driven down to a level of only 2%. And most recently, the measure of parasite prevalence in children under 5 was 0. Children under 5 represent more than half of the 425,000 deaths from malaria every year. And that's part of really 250 million cases of malaria worldwide. So these local Rotary clubs are partnering with international clubs. One project has already been completed by our Federal Way Club with its partner, training 300 community health workers and deploying them in villages in 2 districts, and getting ready to start is one sponsored by the Rotary Club of Aspen, Colorado, which will be in a few weeks. That's 200 more community health workers in a single district. And then we're undertaking, and you'll see this in the next slide, go ahead please, a project of $1,048,000 to train 1,050 community health workers and deploy them in 3 districts. And we're following the lessons learned from that southern province example in Zambia that's been adopted nationwide as a strategy for malaria elimination. That's our path forward. It's pretty simple. Using the government action and resources. First, you drive the malaria burden down into the teens in terms of percentage of incidence among the population by spraying the houses, by treating the disease, and by distributing bed nets for people to sleep under while educating them about malaria prevention. And then you sustain that reduction and drive it further towards 0 by placing in their home communities trained community health workers using an approach called integrated community case management. So the desire is to reduce malaria by more than 90% to approach 0 malaria. Next slide.
Jim, sorry, I missed your 2-minute warning. This is about your 1-minute warning.
It's actually a 2-minute warning. I've got my clock going. I was in Zambia in late February, visited the 3 districts and the communities there in the Rotary clubs. You can see the average percentage of malaria every year is about 40% of the population, 225,000 cases of malaria and a number of deaths. Next slide. And Rotarians are Well behind this project, we've got a lead club in Mufalira Rotary that we've worked with before. We've got about 75% of the $1,048,000 total raised so far, and we're looking for another 7K. We're training, equipping, and deploying 1,050 community health workers to diagnose and treat malaria, diarrhea, and respiratory illness. And we've got great partners in the National Malaria Elimination Center, PATH, MASEPA, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the provincial and district health teams. Next slide. That's our summary of our budget, but we have a much more detailed budget as part of the global grant application. Next slide. And these are the folks that we're equipping with diagnostics, medicines, backpacks, rain gear, robust bicycles, and smartphones. Next slide. If your club chooses to donate, your donation will have a multiplier of 6.5. So for example, a $3,000 donation could end up being nearly $20,000 because the Gates Foundation is matching club and district monies dollar for dollar. So that $20,000 almost will put 20 community health workers into their villages, serving 10,000 people in the treatment of malaria, diarrhea, and respiratory illnesses. So I hope you'll join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, since we're right at the edge of the schedule, let's go on right to the next speaker, which is Tim Arnold, talking about clean water in Ethiopia. So Tim, why don't you get yourself started while I try to find your presentation here.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And Stan, I'd just like to mention that the woman, the Dr. G you were talking about in Ethiopia was Dr. Hamlin. I had the privilege of meeting her a number of times. She passed away at 96 years old, and they've done 60,000 fistula surgeries. So yeah, I think the collaboration between the two would be great. So I want to talk about the effect of water. To me, everything starts with the clean water. If you don't have clean water, you don't have access to sanitation. You have problems. It's essential for the health of children of the world. We are in a time when hygiene has become an everyday thing for all of us. The spread of disease has increased by at least one over this past year. Next slide, Larry. Our project is to provide water and sanitation to a number of schools with public access where possible. The impact is the significant reduction of waterborne diseases, the reduction of time spent gathering water, the increase of middle school girls attending classes, because as they reach puberty, there's a drastic decrease in the number of girls that continue to attend school. We're talking about a reduction in healthcare and a reduction of the loss of life of children, once again, of 5 and younger. It's a transfer, for me, it's a transformation of a community. You have parents now that have third or less education level, and this will allow these next generation to go from a third grade education to a high school education. Right now, we have club donations from 5 different districts across America. I'm in the final stages of editing the grant one for the 15th time. And to reach our goal of over $800,000, I need about another 10 grand from our district to reach the goal for my goal for our district. And like Jim mentioned, This is, you get district matching from the DDF, district designated funds, you get matching from RI, but we get matching from the World Vision. Our last project that we did in basically the same area was 14 wells, 40 to 80 meters deep, with one well that was 150 meters deep. The club that we're working with is in Deborah Brahan. They're very active and made significant improvements to their community. One of our wells that we did just completed a year ago was for a village of over 7,000 people with no water and no sanitation to a school of over 500 kids. I talked to one little girl through a translator, probably 11 years old, and I asked her if she collected water. And she said, yes, I do. And I says, how long does it take you? And she says, 2 hours for every trip, every day. And so I asked her, I says, how long does it take you to collect water now? And she says, 1 minute. So you take 2 hours a day times 500 kids, you're talking, you know, hundreds of thousands of hours that you're giving back to these communities, not only in time, but you're giving them back clean water versus water that in some cases comes out of a mud puddle. This time, the next slide, this time we're
I'm sorry, this is Kirk. I'm just interrupting to say this is a 2-minute warning or a little past that. And for real this time.
Thank you. We're talking about a generational change for these young girls. The waterborne diseases go down drastically. Our budget is, you know, a little over 800, almost $900,000. Our account that we have set up at Redmond is, like I said, we're close to reaching our goal, and I just need some club or clubs to push me over the limit. We partner with World Vision because A, they have boots on the ground. They have the water engineer, they have the sanitation engineer, they go through all the permitting for us, and they also provide half the money.
Now about 1 minute is left.
I'd like to close with this. There are a number of great projects within Rotary. Many of the ideas are improve the lives of those around the world. I believe that this is one of the best projects with sustainability, training, and collaboration with those in the community. Please consider pushing this project over the top and making a donation. Thank you for your time and efforts for making the world a better place.
Okay. Mary, I see Mary Starkbaum on there now. Is she able to get unmuted and go ahead? I think I have your charts here. Sorry, we didn't get you on earlier.
You're unmuted.
Yeah, I'm unmuted, and if you have them, that's good. I have them too.
Okay, let me just check here. I believe I do.
All right, down in Grand Canyon.
Yeah. Here we go.
Let it get it full screen. There you go.
Thank you. Everything that Tim said about clean water, I second and third the motion, and several of you are also aware of the crucialness of clean water. So we're asking for support to bring clean water to Agua Caliente in the Guatemalan highlands to serve 290 families, over 1,800 people at about $70 a person. And this will bring spring-fed, clean chlorinated water piped to basins at each house in the village, plus gray water filters, clean latrine, and hygiene training. Next, please. The project is to be built and maintained by the villagers who requested it. It's implemented by a small, experienced local Mayan-speaking staff who helped 23 villages put in water systems over the past 13 years, all of which are still operating. And Antigua, Guatemala is the host club. Next. These are familiar pictures. The women Before the project, carry heavy jugs from a water hole up a slippery path, maybe 20 trips a day, similar to what Tim described. Next. Here's the how the villagers are digging the ditches and the water tanks and laying the pipe. Next. And here's the water coming to a basin at each house. Next, please. The budget is $130,000 for construction materials and training from Rotary, plus $67,000 in labor from the village. Contributions from clubs in our district will be matched this year by the district and by the Rotary Foundation. And we need a couple $1,000s more to fund this grant. We've partnered with Seattle 4 in the past. So please join us if you're interested in this. If not this year, we plan to do the same thing again next year in another village. And if your club is interested or would like more information, here's my email, marystarkybaum@comcast.net at Lake Forest Park. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mary. Now, we've got one more formal presentation, and we've got a couple of people who might like to talk about their projects. Lamon, I see you are here. Are you able to talk about your project at all? You're muted right now. Okay. Yeah.
Am I on mute now?
There you go.
Okay, cool. Yes, and can you unmute Maggie Peterson, please, in case she wants to add something?
Yes, I'll do that right now.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Lamin Mane, Edmonds Rotary, co-chair for International Committee. So we are working on a project in Gambia, in rural Gambia, to build a science lab. So this is going to provide a laboratory for high school kids that want to study physics, chemistry, and biology. So we actually have most of the need assessment done, and we also have the simple building plan. The blueprint is also completed. We are working on the cost estimate for that building, and also running it through Rotary International to make sure that it actually fits that criteria of simple building that Rotary can sponsor. We are working hard with the local Rotarians in Gambia, but due to coronavirus, a lot of our plans are actually on hold right now. Our budget, initial budget for the building was $160,000 rather. Now that has been reduced to about $100,000 because we will get community participation. We will get some funding from the country, the host country, and also Rotarians will go and help with the building. The equipment, those are the science equipment for physics, chemistry, and biology. I am working on getting a quote from 3 places, UK, Nigeria, and Senegal. So as soon as we get that quote, we will also bring that up to the group. So I think that next quarter, we will have a better report for the whole group. Maggie, do you want to add anything?
I could talk a little bit about funding. So we've met several of you. We've gone out and presented to several clubs. We've been able to so far we've been able to collect just from doing that and private citizens, we've been able to collect about $12,000. We have an in-club matching grant of $10,000. We have applied to Seattle 4 and to, what's the other one? Nancy Pasternak. Yes. And and so we've applied for those 2 grants. I imagine right now they're not, I don't know where they are in process, but we haven't really gotten any feedback on that, but we've asked for 10,000 from Seattle and I believe 5,000 from Bellevue. So we're plugging away at it and look forward to getting this project funded and getting the science lab in there. It's so critical to that area to get this project off the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Okay, we've got one more formal presentation who's been patiently waiting, and that's Brett Tauscher going to talk about his Young Professionals Exchange Project. So go ahead and unmute yourself, Brett.
Yep,
I'll
I'm
get your
unmuted.
screen up here.
All right, thanks everybody for being patient. I have the distinguished honor of being last.
Well, actually, Nancy Pasternak is going to talk a little bit,
good.
but she doesn't have a presentation.
Otherwise, between the next happy hour drink and the presenter. So I've been in Rotary for just around 20 years, and our club and its club have been involved in lots of the same projects we just saw today, from education to water projects to the whole gamut. This project, this program is something completely new. It's an exciting new program. And just think of the work that us Rotarians that we do. Our efforts are multiplied over across the world, and one Rotarian can benefit hundreds, thousands of other people. But we need to have a new generation of young Rotarians to step up and do this same thing. That's what this.
Sorry, I'm just going to jump in here and say, if you're not Brett and you're not talking right now, please mute yourself. We're getting some weird noises.
I think it's Maggie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sewing. Can you mute me? I'm making masks.
So this project is aimed at the next generation of young Rotarians, to build them into leaders such as the people who are presented today. Rotary needs these next generation of leaders to keep going. This project, for me, is the most exciting thing I've done in Rotary over the 20 years. Next slide, please. So it is an ongoing program every year. Last year we sent 4 young Rotarians to Japan for 10 days. We also received 4 from Japan here, and we hosted them for 10 days. We're building the next generation of Rotarian leaders with global perspective and experience. We're building goodwill and peace between clubs and countries, and we're building personal and professional relationships of these young Rotarians, and of course the mutual understanding between different cultures. So what is it? We exchange groups of young professional Rotarians aged 21 to 30. Last year we worked with the Osaka Rotary Club and their Rotaract Club. And our club was the other partner on this. 10 days we stayed, they stayed with homestay families, Rotarian families. And during those 10 days, they visited companies, Rotarian-owned companies generally. And they were able to spend about 2 hours at each company and able to talk directly with the leadership of those companies and find out how they do business differently. There was also social, social and cultural activities. We had Rotary activities, and we funded 50% of the airfare and some other costs. And it was supposed to be in 2020, but COVID-19 put it off to 2021 to expand the program, to double it in size and include a club in Yokohama. Next slide. They visited 7 to 8 companies on each side, enough exposure to learn the relevant business style. And this experience, I don't think Harvard Business School could have done any better. Deep conversations with top management, tough questions, actually on both directions. 2 to 3 Rotary Club visits on both sides, 3 to 4 cultural and social activities on both sides. We had formal welcome and farewell ceremonies. We had some sightseeing, and of course the homestay was a real avenue to understand the culture in depth. Last slide. So what did we do? What did we
Sorry,
build?
that's about the 2-minute mark, the 2-minute warning.
Got it. What did we actually build here? What was the results? Well, all 8 of these young Rotarians have strong Rotarian hearts and spirits. We had a rigorous selection program. All 8 are excited. They are working for the next generation of this. They're helping actually put it on for us. All 8 returned home with strong understanding of the other culture and business style, personal and professional contacts, and strong feelings to use the benefits of this program. We had a couple of these young Rotarians that were interested to start their own program, a similar program with a different country. That was the impact. It's absolutely beyond all expectations. Because this was supposed to happen this year, we have most of the funding in place. The last slide is what we're asking for here. For doubling the size of this program, it'll cost us about $12,200. That's the subsidy on the airfare, as well as a host side, the activities we put on. We're asking for $1,500. That's the last piece we need to put together. And I don't have the contact information on there. I somehow didn't think of that in advance.
We'll find a way to contact you, Brett, if anybody is interested.
So this program actually is kind of similar to the GSE program, which was a district level program. This is a Rotary International level program. This is a club to club, very simple program to put on. We have a simple 2-page MOU, and it's just the most exciting program to see the change we're making. And the retention we'll get offering a program that's relevant to young Rotarians.
Okay, did we have any more questions on this one? Okay, I think Nancy Pasternak had just a little update on a project she was going to talk about and then couldn't. Nancy, why don't you unmute yourself, or Kirk unmute her and let Nancy update it, and then we're finished with that and we can go to any other questions.
Thank you so much. Okay. Well, I appreciate everyone's patience. And Larry, thank you for letting me say just a few words. We have this wonderful project in Ukraine, which is with the unoccupied and unoccupied parts of Ukraine, where there's an awful lot of violence and people are living in very frightening circumstances. So they were training women in mediation. The Mediators Beyond Borders, which is a partner with Rotary, is going to do the training, and I am actually planning on doing some of the training myself. But because they had to change the format and many things about the grant, I lost my funding because of the deadlines, and so therefore I cannot be the international club. We cannot be the international club anymore, the Bellevue Club. So Dr. Renata Derndorfer from Bavaria, Germany, is the incoming district governor, and she's going to do she's going to be the international club. But I have been on the phone they wanted to then do it, put together 2 global grants and have me do the second half of it, or have Bellevue. But I've talked to Marty, Marty Daiga at RI quite extensively about what we could do. And I also talked to Sue Flickinger, who's at Mediation Beyond Borders, and she says there's no way that we're going to be able to do this very soon because they have to, this whole new format of doing things virtually is going to really cost them a lot of work to change their format. Can you imagine doing mediation virtually? I mean, this is going to be very difficult for them to put together. So I'm thinking now that we should just divide it into 2 phases. So the German club would have the Goldberg grant for the first phase of it, and how we, how we do sometimes 2 years in a row. And then I would like for Bellevue then to be able to do the second phase of the project. So that's kind of where we stand right now. I'd like for you to consider helping us out with it when it's going to, it would be 21, 22. And so we hope that we did have a number of clubs that were already contributing and interested, but we hope that you will join up again when it comes about.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Well, look at folks, in this hour and a few extra minutes, we've gone through 10 projects, each one of which is really important. And you might want to think about, I see we still have 34 participants watching, so you've stuck through us throughout this time. We will be, this will be, the recording of this will be available on YouTube, and we'll be sending you the link shortly after the session is over. If you want, we can send you up copies of these slides so you can talk with your own team. However, I'm sure each one of these speakers would be more than willing to talk to you, your club, or your committees on a video link just like this. Most of you are not meeting in person. In fact, I don't think any of you are. So feel free to reach out to every one of these speakers on what are absolutely fantastic projects. So do we have any more last questions before we wrap up tonight? I think I see.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah,
a
there's one
question
that I think actually was
for Bella
about Bella's presentation.
Yeah. The question is, has there been a community assessment for the Gloryland project? Oh, Bella, you're muted. Bella may actually have left us because I see her picture, but it's not.
To answer that question.
Good.
Oh, she just went unmuted. Perfect.
Oh, can you ask the question again?
Okay, has there been a needs assessment done for this project?
Yeah, yes. Yes, we have engaged an engineer for the need assessment, especially for the water, and he gave us the report, and we have included in the budget. And so this one we're going to put it in our club to see if the club can fund it, and then the actual project, water drilling, we can put it in the Rotary International. That's the thoughts we got.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's absolutely
important. Does that answer the question?
Yep, I think that, I don't know who that was from. Yeah, it seems to have been answered. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, that is from Pauline. Pauline, I'm the director of the Global Admissions International. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, if there are no more questions, what we will do is we'll send you out that link for the Zoom so you can watch, you or any of your colleagues can watch this. We will also send out copies of these slides to any of you who want those, and you can send them to me, your requests to me, and I will get them out to you. Okay, with that, thank you all 10 folks who talked about your projects. I'm just amazed at what the kind of work we're doing here. Again, these things will result in over $2 million worth of services to these 9 countries if we can get them all approved. Thank you very much, everybody. Do you have any final comments?
Yeah,
nice job.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks to Kirk also.
Okay, this is pretty. Kurt? Okay, I think we're all finished, so let's just go ahead and we'll wrap up the meeting now.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
It's a gin and tonic time.
Thank you, all of you speakers. I'll communicate with you directly after we finish here. My apologies for not having a particularly efficient manner of getting all your slides up.
You did great, Larry.
Well, you're the ones who did great. Every one of you met your 6 minute within a minute or two.
Good to see you, Mary.
I guess we're all muted now. Thank you, Kirk.
So did you
Thank
want
you.
to say anything, Larry?
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Kurt.
Bye, guys.
Can we get off now, Larry?
We can
Okay.
get off.
Can we get off now, Larry?
We can
Yeah.
get off.
I'm going to end the meeting. Everyone will have to leave now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Larry. Thank you.